All right, now the update on the fight over press passes for conservative journalists locked out of the wings because of their opinions, apparently. A judge heard the case in federal court on Monday. We were there, and a ruling came out Tuesday. They lost the case. The journalists lost the case. Um, Washington state lawmakers, the judge said, were within their rights to decline press passes to media figures Brandy Cruz, Ari Hoffman, and Jonathan Cho. Um, you may recall it was earlier this year the Democratic controlled House of Representatives declined to issue them press credentials, and they were not really told why. Eventually found out it's because you're opinion journalists. And in the case of both Ari Hoffman and Brandy Cruz, they've showed up and spoken at some of the rallies in favor of the initiatives for restoration of parental rights and the protection of girls in sports. So, according to the folks that issue the credentials here in Olympia, they're too opinionated. They're not unbiased journalists. So that was the argument, and I guess the judge agreed. This isn't the end of the fight, though, by any stretch of the imagination. And today, I got an update with Citizen Action Defense Fund Executive Director Jackson Maynard on where things go from here. He was the one who made the arguments in court on Monday on behalf of these three independent conservative journalists. So here are his updated thoughts on where things go from this point.
This is just a little longer battle than we anticipated, but the battle's not over and the war's not over, and the fight will continue for press freedom for our clients. The idea that the legislature is a non-public forum is just flies in the face of 50 years of tradition. Yeah, as we argued that day in our briefing, it's a limited public forum, and as such, members of the press are entitled to robust protection in the rights in the areas that they have traditionally been allowed to be in. I thought it was a little odd that the court acknowledged that there were problems with how the due process that was allowed, the process that the legislature used in terms of how it approved or denied the press passes, the fact that it could take days for them to approve a day pass. In fact, three of my clients didn't find out until 2 or 3 days later that the day that they had applied for, that they weren't eligible to have it, and they didn't have the facts necessary to know and to be able to contest those. The court said, yeah, that's problematic, but ultimately kind of brushed that aside, in my opinion. The court said that there wasn't enough evidence that the reason that my clients were excluded, Brandy and Ari, was based on their political participation. That was in the affidavit from the state defendants, where they said, "We know you're going to be speaking at a rally," and it certainly formulated the basis, and that's content-based discrimination, which under the cases we cited cannot be the reason that you don't allow a member of the press to have access.
It's also worth noting that there are some questions circulating as to involvement by the Capital Correspondents Association in all of this. The CCA, not the Commitment Act, but the Capital Correspondents Association, is made up of reporters from publications around the state who cover politics in Olympia. We are not. The Center Square is not a member of that organization. And up until last year, it was the CCA that advised who got credential access and who did not. After they tried to deny the Center Square full press credentials, we had to push the issue legally. And the CCA then bowed out and basically said, we're out of this whole credential saga. Turned that over to the House and Senate separately to make those decisions on who got access. And the House ultimately, said that those three members did not have access. But a spokesman review reporter and the spokesman review, a member of the Capital Correspondents Association, wrote up this whole, latest court case and the battle over that. And they conceded in their own article, which came out yesterday, that the newspaper has financially contributed to enlist the services of the attorney that represents the association in the lawsuit. So basically conceding what could be a potential conflict here, it seems. You can decide what you think about that for yourself. But to have media organizations funding the legal defense, trying to keep other media organizations from getting press passes, whether or not there's an actual conflict of interest there that needs to be addressed, that's going to be up to the courts to decide. But I thought it was worth, you know, bringing up that point in light of the low court loss initially that we've got here, and we'll see where that goes. We're not going to let up on it, I promise.